The rain had just started to fall when Judge Evelyn Brooks noticed the patrol car behind her. Red and blue lights reflected across her windshield, cutting through the quiet of the late evening. She glanced at her dashboard, speed normal, signals used, nothing out of place. Still, she pulled over immediately. Judge Brooks had spent nearly a decade on the bench. She believed in procedure, calm, and cooperation. Tonight, she followed the same rules she had enforced for years. Both hands rested on the steering wheel. The window was already halfway down. The officer approached quickly, his posture stiff. "License and registration," he said, not meeting her eyes. "Of course, officer," Judge Brooks replied evenly. "May I ask the reason for the stop?" "You were driving suspiciously," he answered. She paused. "Could you clarify what you mean by that?" Instead of clarifying, the officer's voice rose. He told her to step out of the car. Confused but composed, she did exactly as instructed, moving slowly, carefully narrating her actions the way she had heard countless citizens do in her courtroom. "I'm reaching for my seatbelt," she said. "I'm opening the door now." She stood beside the car, rain soaking into her jacket. Passing vehicles slowed, their drivers sensing tension. The officer began issuing commands, fast, overlapping, and contradictory. "Hands up, hands down, turn around, don't move." Judge Brooks tried to steady the moment. "Officer, I am complying. I'd like to understand what's happening." "I said stop talking," he snapped. She took a breath. "I want you to know I'm a judge with the county court. I'm requesting a supervisor." The word judge did not calm him. It seemed to do the opposite. He stepped back, reached for his belt, and shouted that she was refusing to comply. Judge Brooks barely had time to process the accusation before a sharp command cut through the rain. "Get on the ground. I'm trying to follow your—" The taser fired. Judge Brooks fell, stunned. The world briefly reduced to noise and shock. The rain mixed with the cold pavement as she struggled to understand how a routine traffic stop had turned into this. Another patrol car arrived moments later. Then another. A senior officer stepped out, took one look at the scene, and froze. Judge Brooks lay on the ground, shaking but conscious. Her identification sat on the hood of the car, clearly marked, unmistakable. "Why was force used?" the supervisor asked. The officer began explaining quickly, claiming resistance, claiming fear. But the body cameras were recording everything. The dash cam, too. Every command. Every second. Judge Brooks was taken to the hospital. She didn't shout. She didn't threaten. She simply asked one question to the nurse who helped her sit up. "Was I not calm enough?" By morning, the footage was public. The video showed a woman complying, speaking respectfully, moving slowly. It showed an officer escalating without clear cause, ignoring de-escalation training, and using force where none was necessary. The reaction was immediate. The police department placed the officer on unpaid leave. The mayor called for an independent investigation. Civil rights organizations demanded accountability, not because the victim was a judge, but because she could have been anyone. Prosecutors from outside the county took over the case to avoid conflict of interest. Their findings were damning. The officer had violated department policy. He had skipped required warnings. He had ignored opportunities to slow the encounter. Worse, his written report contradicted the video, claiming Judge Brooks had lunged and refused commands. The charges followed soon after: excessive use of force, violation of civil rights under color of law, filing a false police report. The courtroom was packed on the first day of trial. Cameras lined the back wall. Judge Brooks entered quietly and took a seat among the public. No robe, no gavel. Just another citizen watching the system she had served. The defense argued stress, fear, and split-second judgment. They said policing was difficult, unpredictable. The prosecution played the video. Once, then again, then frame by frame. Experts testified that nothing in Judge Brooks's posture, tone, or movement justified the use of a taser. Veteran officers explained how the situation could, and should have been handled with conversation and patience. When the jury returned, the room was silent. Guilty on all major counts. At sentencing, the judge spoke with clarity and restraint. "A badge is not a license to abandon the law," she said. "Authority demands restraint, not impulse." The sentence was announced: 7 years in prison. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded Judge Brooks. "How do you feel about the verdict?" one asked. She paused before answering. "I feel relief," she said, "not because of punishment, but because the truth mattered." She returned to the bench months later. Same courtroom, same seal on the wall, but something had changed. When she spoke about rights, about compliance, about trust in the system, her words carried a weight shaped by experience. Her case became part of police training programs. Her ruling opinions cited accountability more often than ever. She never raised her voice, but people listened, because justice had failed her once. And then, finally, it corrected itself.